Let me talk to you. So, this video is going to be a very raw, roughly edited, just me ranting. Well, not even ranting, just talking kind of a video. And just a disclaimer, this is not a pot shot to any particular person in general, just talking about the general trend in the industry or the community, however one wants to put it. It's about generative AI. Now, generally, the general trend is that in the community, in the general community itself, there is a lot of negativity regarding generative AI, particularly Gen AI imagery and Gen AI, text generation, and that's not without reason. One of the big things about the industry is that, or the community, TTRPG community particularly, is that it is filled to the brim with artists. And when an LLM is using art without permission to train its AI to regurgitate art, which is frankly is now becoming a really, it is able to generate images which are really good, polished. It becomes a concern for the artists because literally their work starts to go away. And now artists do a ton of free work anyway. Artists generate small assets, small things, images, PNGs, vectors, illustrations for free, because it is not just an exposure for their work, but also it is platformed in one of many places like Pixabay or one of these places, even Canva. I'm forgetting the names right now, but these exposures that they get, which is very little in itself, is going to get even more diminished once people start actively using AI, whether it is for their maps, for their character art, for their what could it be? For their board games, literally. I've seen people use Gen AI images literally for playtesting their board games when it is just a playtest. You can literally scratch something on a piece of paper and it will work just as fine because it's not a finished product. You don't need to use Gen AI, honestly. And we know that AI is everywhere now. Even Gen AI is in a lot of places. Even Canva, especially for the shop, and other places are adapting it as quickly. ChatGPT and Midjourney being the most famous aggressors, but even Grok. I hate that that Musk uses the word Grok, because it's kind of, I'm not going to get into it anyway. You can read Stranger in a Strange Land for that. So I have issues, and it's not just copyright related issues, which Disney has now famously sued Midjourney for, which is great, and I hope it has implications on the industry at large, on Gen AI, LLM, all these training at large. I hope they do, because the artists, all they are asking for is transparency, permission, compensation, because they have literally poured over their sweat and blood to generate these images on which these AI are being trained. And I don't generally agree with, I'm not an artist, so that's why I use Gen AI to generate all my works. You can always ask someone to do some work, and you don't need to compensate them with like 10k rupees or 20k or whatever. They would be fine with getting some work. Also, Canva is mostly free. I know the premium has a lot more things to offer, but even in the free version, you can do a lot with it, and it's just a promo image. For as far as character image generation goes, uh, well, now Pinterest is rife with AI images, but if you search for it just a little bit, you look a little bit closer on the internet, you will find the character that you are looking for. And even with maps, especially with maps, there are so many free maps. Yeah, seriously, there are so many free maps for that you can use for your battle maps, for your world, that are out there. Also, AI maps are generally not that great. Also, you can pay like Chepaku maps for like I think $1, $5 for a month, and you get so many maps for free that they have made, and their maps are amazing. What else? Yeah, another point that I wanted to talk about was, for full transparency, I used to be a huge apologist for generative AI, huge one. This was about 4 years ago, when it was at its nascent stages, and the AI generally was more pronounced. No, was you could understand that it was AI generated imagery. Now it's becoming a bit more difficult, especially with AI generated videos becoming so, I won't say good, but looking a lot more polished, to the point that the older generation are having trouble differentiating it, and you literally need fact checkers to differentiate it. Also, I used to be an apologist until I got to know that, oh, it's all based on stolen work. I used to say that, oh, it's going to help artists because they're now able to generate things which are going to help their art. But now I feel like, oh no, that's a weird way of cheating. That's just a weird way of cheating. That's just cheating with extra steps, or even with lesser steps, I guess. There's a jam up ahead, so that's why oh my god, this place usually has jams. I'm gonna have so much trouble getting through this video. I'm so sorry about that. Also, who is AI really benefiting? I'm sorry, not AI, because AI is everywhere. So many tech things can't run because of AI. Can't run if it weren't for AI, sorry. But you can choose not to use generative AI. I'm not saying that if everybody doesn't use it, it will go away. Most of the people are aware that it's not gonna just up in the air and go away. We are not that naive. It's just that it becomes a matter of a little bit of ethics, and also a little bit of it's benefiting the billionaires who have poured money into all of these things. It's going to benefit OpenAI. It's going to benefit Google. It's going to benefit the shareholders, essentially. It is, and if you're thinking it's free, it's democratizing art and everything for everyone, is it really? I'm not saying that art shouldn't be democratized, because it already is. It already is. Art is something that you should pour your effort into, and not just type it into existence. If you want to use text to make some art out of just text, that's amazing. But if you're just typing something and it is coming to life, that's just cheating. Whoa, 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 the car is bouncing. Oh, I have a lot of problems with especially with data centers, it being in locations where fresh water is limited for people who are living around that area, not just because of the noise they create, but because of the fresh water they use up and keep using up. It is going to have long-term environmental impact. People can say that, okay, it's very minimal. You do these other things, these also have environmental impact. Yeah, but some of us are choosing not to do this because we just don't want to. And it shouldn't be on us, honestly, to save the world. It's because of those corporations who are making all of these data centers, huge data centers, which are using up water, air, space, land, resources, etc., etc. They're literally keeping the slave trade and child labor alive, and I'm guilty of it. I'm not saying that I am on a pedestal and I am holier than everyone. I'm recording this on an iPhone, which is honestly, it's unethical in itself if you think about it, because the amount of money that Apple has taken from me to give me this phone is going to benefit the shareholders, obviously. It's not benefiting the people who have actually made the phone. Not really. So, is there an ethical way of using AI or generative AI? I feel there is. I feel there is not a middle ground, but I think there is a ground for which you can use generative AI for. It can be used in healthcare. I do believe that, but not in the way that you're just typing in the symptoms as a patient and it's telling you, okay, yeah, you get these medicines and you'll be fine. No, not that way. In India, we have the pharmacists who are, secondary doctors, but I feel like there are a lot more good implications for AI art, which don't, no. I feel like there's a lot of implications or uses of generative AI, but not for art. That's what I wanted to say. God, English. Sometimes I say things which I don't mean because I add words or take out words without even thinking about it. Not because I'm thinking it, but because I'm just going with the flow. I say things before I think. I don't know. So in that case, you don't need to use generative AI art, especially for board games, especially for Kickstarters, because a lot of Kickstarters, random regurgitated yuck Kickstarters are being funded, which are completely based on generative AI work. Any's had introduced a category or an option of entering AI generated work, which thankfully, because of the backlash, they have since rescinded. WotC, with some of their D&D supplements, they had some Gen AI work, which was not good, even though the artist used it. It was like, why did you need to use it? You are an amazing artist. And then you have really, really talented people in the board game community and in the TTRPG community who are doing their best, literally their best, to make sure that they do not get replaced. Oh my God, these people, they are overtaking from the left, from the right, from the front, from the back. The thing is, I have to pay attention and talk at the same time, and that's why words are getting mixed up. So, I'm just, again, like I said, this is not a pot shot to anyone. I'm just talking about the general trend in the industry, which is sad to see. So me and my friends, we're going to do what we can, whatever we can, which is not enough, but just us in our community, we'll do whatever we can to not use Gen AI work, not associate with people who rely on Gen AI work. To Hey buddy, there's a lot of road on the side. We are not, I mean, I wouldn't say that we are the pillars of the community, or we are the best people in the community, because we don't use Gen AI, imagery and text. Yay, we are on a morally high ground. We're just trying to do what we can, honestly. And in India, it's being used a lot. In USA and Europe, obviously, it's being used a lot. I'm not sure about East Asia. I'm sure there are people there using Gen AI work in their board games and their TTRPGs as well. I'm not going to tell you all what to do. I know I said that do not use Gen AI thing, but that's just coming from a personal preference. Like I promised myself not to use Gen AI imagery or Gen AI text. It would be better if nobody uses it. I feel that it would be better. I really do, in my heart, believe that it would be better. But I can't tell you what to do. I can just tell you that it's sad, that the state that the industry is in, that that is going towards, it's sad, and I hope it changes. I'm not a trendsetter. I'm not an influencer. I'm not someone who has tons of power at their disposal to be able to make a change. I would love to be a cog in the wheel which makes the change. Or a cog in the gear, whatever that term is. I would love it if everyone decides to make a stand on this, because not everyone has, but everyone can make a stand on this. So if you're still watching this, and if you decide to make a stand, know that I respect you and I will trust you. And I'll see you in the next video.